we've all gone through education and like moved past like compulsory education far enough to like reflect on it. It's now like a previous chapter of our lives, not something that we're transitioning through. And I feel like when that happens, we often like consider things that we would have been oblivious to before. So a question I have is, do you think the education that you received was adequate? And you can think of that as broad or as minimal as you want it to be.
I'll go first. I think it wasn't, not that it was adequate, but it just wasn't tailored to me specifically.
What would tailoring it to you be?
Just be like, just in terms of like being more inclusive of the individual. That's what I mean. In terms of education in its most basic form, I think it was okay. Like I didn't think I ever thought, oh, I wish I went to a private school where I could have learned this and that a lot better. But yeah, it also has its flaws, innit?
I think the education system now, to many children, to some it proves valuable, but to children like me, it proved no value. I'll honestly say it. Like, I think back to my school days and I literally just think of having fun. Like, I don't think about, oh, that teacher taught me something valuable. Like you said, obviously the base level, like how to read, write, do maths, but it really didn't prove anything of value. If anything, I would say the connections that I made through school were more of value. The school system that's been built today was built in the Industrial Revolution, innit? So this was basically in a time where workers were needed. So there wasn't many individuals, innit? There was just a lot of workers doing the same thing, doing the same menial jobs. But now we're in a day and age of social media and where creativity is one of the most profitable things that you can have. So I think it should be more nourishing of the creative side and more individualistic, as you said.
But just before you go, Dennis, as well, do you think school, when we were in school, could have prepared you for that? Like, I feel like obviously like the social media age, it's been building for a while since we started secondary school, but like, do you think like that was enough time? And like based on when social media started to become popping and like you being in school, like that period where the both were existing at the same time, do you think the school could have done something?
Yeah, I think they could have done something. We need to be taught more subjects on the mental. So I'd say like more, I think we should be like we should teach like psychology in like secondary school at base level. Things that are more about like mental well-being and how to deal with people, because I think the way you deal with people is like the way you deal with people will show how successful you are in the long game.
Do you think that the way certain things have been like not released to us, but we've kind of been open to certain things as education kind of goes on is for a reason? For example, if psychology was taught to us at an earlier stage, do you think that kids would have started to self-diagnose themselves with things and stuff? Like, because I realised as we get to the age that we are at now, it's like people become more aware that they have like anxiety issues and things like that. And I think it might be because of the access to the information they have. So do you think as a younger you, basically, like, things like that are needed?
They are needed. Flipping, do you guys know what flipping EQ is? EQ.
Yeah,
that's like emotional intelligence. There's like normal logical intelligence, like I know how to do maths, I know this, and then there's EQ, which is like how you deal with people.
Is
how like what?
So is it like, you know, it's like if Kez sits next to me being able to feel that he's off.
Yeah, emotional intelligence. Yeah. So people, I think we've neglected that side of us. In the education system has neglected that and just solely concentrate on like the theory, like maths, English, and that.
But what about PSHE?
PSHE, that was that's one subject. You get what I'm saying? That was one class in like the week. Do you get what I'm saying? Yeah. It's not enough. It's definitely not enough. We should be being taught. It's as important as learning maths, as learning English, to know how to deal with people. How many things could have been averted if people knew how to handle themselves and others properly? How many stabbings could have been averted if that angry person that didn't know how to process his feelings actually found a way how to process his feelings but benefit the world?
Yeah.
That's true. No,
Do you get what I'm saying?
Most serial killers have low emotional intelligence.
Exactly.
No way.
They don't have empathy. They can't even begin to understand what it is to be hurt. Do you get what I'm saying?
So do you think in the same way that we're speaking about education, it's a thing where someone needs to be able to kind of like actively show kids and children in school how to step a certain way? Like, you know, I don't know if this is for you guys, but I always, like, any educational institution I've been in, I've always had that one teacher that I just had a connection with. And it's because of that one teacher and the nurturing that they showed me is that my mind's been steered to a certain direction. So do you think, like the same thing you're saying, like kids should kind of have that one teacher in school that's kind of like got their back?
Yeah, I think there should be therapists. Like at least 1 or 2 therapists per school.
I think there was.
There is in America. They have like
it's not serious here, fam.
Before we get on to that, I just want to like ask you because we didn't get to.
Yeah,
like, do you think that you're?
In my opinion, I think secondary school and primary school taught me work ethic more than anything. Like how to like put my head down, how to do the work.
Yeah.
But I will say that it made, if you really think about it, it became kind of robotic. Everyone was doing the same thing, wearing the same clothes. It doesn't allow, like you said, the creative thought, like fulfillment. And it's just the education system now is like really, really, really bad.
It teaches you how to work for someone.
Yeah,
Instead
rather
of
than
yourself.
yourself.
No. But then we're looking at that like, oh, that's a bad thing. But I feel like playing devil's advocate again, like the world we live in, isn't that the best possible preparation that you could have?
Not for the world we live in.
Terrible.
Like for the world, that was better when, like in the Industrial Revolution, when we needed workers, we needed people not to like do too much menial workers. We don't need that now. We have automation.
We definitely do. I feel like because it's not as much physical labour, we're thinking that we're in a different time, but really it's just been a transition of the type of work. But we're just as much like robotic and just like set as we would. We're just in front of a computer now, or we have flexibility as to where we work, but the like I said, work ethic is like very similar. And I feel like we're in the era that we're in now, yeah, it's like, can you do the job? And like, if school is teaching you work ethic, then are they not, whether or not it's like mentally right, aren't they preparing you in the best way?
I disagree. You know why? I could say for myself, it like school didn't teach me nothing about work ethic, because anything that was put on the table for me to learn, I didn't want to learn it. I didn't care about it. So I could even say, coming out of school, when I was given the opportunity just to be by myself and actually think, what do you actually like? What do you need to be putting your time and effort in, is when I actually learned work ethic, true work ethic, because I actually wanted to put the hours in.
Yeah.
With school, they just they put like flipping a paper in front of you and say in 2 weeks in 2 weeks you're gonna have this test, revise for it. Why do I need the test? Am I even going to use any of these skills later in life? I'm not saying it's bad. No, I did say that it was bad. It doesn't teach you anything. But it's like it should be more individualistic, catered to the individual child,
That
because
I agree with, yeah.
every child is so much different than the other.
Yeah.
Especially with the way that you're taught. You get what I'm saying? Some children are very submissive. Others are very rebellious. You have to treat them different ways. Do you get what I'm saying?
Hi guys, and welcome to Over the Table, the platform for young people to have open and honest conversations. I'm your host Janelle, and I hope you enjoy this episode.
I think though, like school's been a trick though, because it's like, in reality, what they do is they give you that piece of work, for example, that homework, and they will say, go away and do that, but it's not necessarily the actual content that you're learning. Indirectly, it's the application of it. So it's the application of knowing how to take the information you've read in a book and then put it into X, Y, Z for a test. Do you know what I'm saying? So I'm saying, like, because you're doing it subconsciously and you learn that by yourself, you're not actively cognizant that you're actually learning that.
But listen,
So you apply it eventually, like.
Hear this, yeah. How is that teaching us proper application? Because in my mind, yeah, all I was doing was looking at stuff, memorizing it for later use on. In like 2 months, I'll fully forget about that subject.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying? So like, is that actually the way to apply? Aren't they? Isn't that even self-deprecating? Because a lot of people are thinking, oh, if I'm not good at revising and that, I'm worthless.
Yeah.
When it's not that, it's like literally, that's not how you revise. Do you get what I'm saying?
I will say that with like, the way how schools run, in it, like, you have, how many subjects? There's like 10 subjects we all had, in it. And then you've got to learn, like, you've got homework for that, you've got homework, they're putting like so much pressure on you. And again, it's like the mental thing, innit? It's deterring your mental state, because you've got 5 different pieces of homework that you all have to do in the next 2 weeks, and then you can't do it. And then the thing is, teachers won't even understand. They'll be like, no, it has to be done. It has to be done.
Because we were all privy to this mindset that school is needed. I really actually don't. It's flipping propaganda. Do you realise it? We've been propagandized. No, seriously, why can't I learn from people? Do you get what I'm saying? Say I wanted to be a stockbroker, right? And that was my passion. Should I go to school, or should I go and learn from millionaire stockbroker? That's a question for all you guys. Should I go to business school or to the millionaire?
The millionaire.
Exactly.
Not necessarily, though.
But,
not necessarily.
No, but
that might work for you. Again, like mental state. Being in front of a billionaire might be nerve-wracking for a kid. That might not be the best way for that person to learn, or the environment for that person to learn.
Yeah, and also, sorry to interrupt you. Like, what about the people who don't know what they want to do? Like, okay, you might want to be a stockbroker, but there's a lot of people sitting in the classroom, even getting up to university, and like, yeah, I'm taking this course, but I don't know what the hell I'm doing. At least in school, I guess you're kind of getting options. It's like, you might have 10 subjects, you might hate 9, but if you're like, that's something, do you know what I mean? It gives you, like, so some people who don't like anything at school, but having like so many options, or even though you're forced to do it, you might end up finding your passion. And does it then not make more sense to go to school than to go to a stockbroker and not want to work for him?
I can say for me, I didn't know what I wanted to do, right? But being in school, I had these options, right? So I thought, oh, let me stay in school. I'll get eventually, innit? I don't need to worry about it, but I'll somewhere, some way, it will click for me. That never came. When I came out of school and I was literally like at home when I'm not working, like, you have to think about what you want to do. And at the end of the day, you like it's a thing of focus. If you focus on finding what you want to do, it might take years, but you putting that focus is putting you one step further into realizing your true passion. In school, you're kind of put in there, and then people kind of show you what to do. Do you get what I'm saying? That can be good for some who need to be shown, but for others who already kind of have that and don't like the pressure of that, it's not right. They need to be in the world finding out what they actually want to do.
So here's a question: should school be optional?
No.
No.
I think it's optional. I think it should be optional.
Why should it not be optional?
I think regardless, whether it's not as effective as it could be, at the end of the day, you still learn from it. And I think, like, it would be naive to say that a kid like being out of school doing this thing by himself with like a lot less structure is a lot better than having a structure that's set out for them, where there is opportunity for them to still thrive. Like, what we're saying is, like, we're speaking in a way that seems like you can't thrive in school, like you can. It's just, it's a bit harder depending on kind of like where your mind state is as a child, innit? But I don't think that kids should have the option to go to school. Like, kids are kids, do you know what I'm saying?
I think there should be like alternatives to school. So just like how you have, when you get to higher education, there's apprenticeships. I think, I don't know what, but something around school where if you can see schools not working, you can do this where it's not like you're just not doing anything, innit? But like this is more like orientated to you.
I think like to say that is kind of naive, like with alternatives, because like say for example you get to 16, yeah, and then you have a choice to go to sixth form or to go to college, yeah. I guess college is the alternative to like traditional school where sixth form is a lot more structured, and then it's like in an ideal world, and I guess in the world you're talking about, a 16-year-old be able to say, okay, I feel like I'll be better suited to college because there's more here for me. But if we're being realistic, how many people go to college because their friends are going to the same college? How many people go to college just because they hate, not because they want to go to this college and apply themselves, but because they hated the sixth form? How many people go to college because their parents are forcing them to do something? Like, do you know what I mean? And if we're talking about even younger, like, the younger you are, the more naive, the more influenced you are. Like, I don't think sometimes even an 18-year-old, let alone like a 12-year-old, is able to make that decision. And I guess you do need structure, and school applies that.
Let me reword it. Like, school shouldn't be optional. It should, because everyone should learn. Every kid needs to learn. But I think the school structure should, what we teach should change. Definitely change. There's a lot of stories where people like school is like oppressive. Just like there are stories where school helps them thrive. But I feel like that's not shed on. I feel like the way school is perceived is too one-sided. It's too one-sided. Think about it like this, yeah. You know how much resources schools have, like from like logic. You don't have to pay for logic if you go to school. Like stuff that we could have all been using, but in school, in the way it was, I wasn't even thinking about that. Do you get what I'm saying? I didn't even think I didn't even think about the value of the things it was giving to us because of the structure. Do you get what I'm saying? It's like I was getting more distracted of me getting a detention for just just being myself. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like an authoritarian like thing, because if you really think about it deeper, yeah, the most choice we got from secondary school was picking the 3 GCSEs or 4 GCSEs.
Yeah.
School's like a prison, fam. What the fuck?
Our timetables were set for us. The people that we had, like in our classes, were set for us. Like we had no choice, even down to what we wear. We were kicked out if we had like school shoes.
Yeah.
I mean, no, sorry, sports shoes. If you wore sports shoes, people got kicked out for having a certain haircut.
Yeah.
Not kicked out, just
like
sent home.
Sent home like for a day exclusion, and then they had to go and get a different haircut. It's mad to think about it. In my opinion, the way how I see it now, yeah, with the way how the world's run, I think there should be like a choice before the age of 15, 16 about what when you do your GCSEs, it has to come before that. So right, 12 or 13, you have to be given like the choice of where do you see yourself, like what are your specific interests, and then when you give those interests, they could like lead you to other places. So like if you're more intrigued into like fitness, maybe be more like in PE based, or if you see something in more creative aspects, you got art, you got drama. But like it's bad to think about. We had one period of drama each week.
Yeah, it's true.
One period of thing each week, but then the rest of it is maths, English, science.
French, what the heck?
Yeah. I did 8 years of French. Yeah. Ask me anything.
For real, I just copied and pasted.
Well, like I do think maths and English and science, those are base level. Like I just told
to be literate.
Yeah, But I was gonna say, fam, like what might be a crazy idea is if like in year 7 you started off with like 12, 13 subjects, and then every year you just drop a subject, or you drop like 2 subjects.
But then
except maths and English.
Yeah.
But then, like, devil's advocate again, like, you have to consider like how much like teaching and the actual teacher can influence a child. Because it's like, say you're in year 7, you're doing 13 subjects, and then it's like you have a really bad year with a history teacher, then you decide you want to drop history. You don't know history, you could love history, you could love alternative types of history to what's taught, but it's like you're not going to know that because Mr. French like gave me a hard time, so I'm out. Do you know what I mean?
Mr. Kilbride and that. Listen.
Is that shade?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He knows who he is. He knows. No, but listen, like, yeah, that's a really good point. I think it's very important what teacher you have, because a teacher, you could like a subject, yeah, but because of, like you said, a certain teacher's getting onto you every time you walk up in that class and you write it off and you don't know you actually love the subject.
Yeah.
I think then, like, we should concentrate on the teachers. Do you get what I'm saying?
They have to be taught like something to. They have to be taught something like. They have to have some sort of mental like background.
What external influences do you guys think decide whether a child will have a good or bad experience in school?
Like all the external influences, like your parents, what's happening at home, like the friends that you have around you where you live. If there's a roadman across the road, innit, and you're seeing them make money, are you gonna really want to go to school? Do you get what I'm saying?
So I was gonna say. So do you think that with all of what we said about what's wrong with school, do you think like a bad breed's still gonna be a bad breed whether you give him the option?
Yes.
So like, how do you kind of like combat that in school? Because
you don't call a bad breed a bad breed, because bad breeds, like, okay, people usually get put in a role and then they play it because they think that that's the only role. So bad breeds, when you tell a bad breed he's a bad breed, he's actually gonna think, oh yeah, I'm a bad breed, so let me just own it, instead of like not liking the word. Do you get what I'm saying? I think we should, like, what's it called, praise individuality instead of like crushing it, because a lot of these kids on road, it's because of, it's due to not being taught well, due to not being taught that the way that they needed to be taught. Do you get what I'm saying?
It's like not having like a nurture. You see how it comes back to nurturing.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's not a nurturing teacher.
That's why I also feel like, I can't remember which one of you said, like, therapists or counselling in school should be necessary. And not only that, yeah, there should be some type of confidentiality with that. Because I find that what happened with especially people who come from working class backgrounds, things will happen in the home that affects how a child is in school. Then the child will either like go to a teacher or like the teacher will come to them, and what it does, social services. It's not like genuine help for the child. Sometimes a child just needs somebody to talk to, not to be removed from their household or not to create rifts in their household. If like there's no confidentiality and then like you go and talk to the child's parent, you don't know that child get beat, like beat up seriously. I feel like there needs to be someone catered to the child and solely for the child, and catered to the child's need, not to like go back to the school or to like the government or to the parents or whatever, unless they feel like it's serious danger.
I feel like even now, like, no, I feel like in school we had that a lot, like, but we, as you were saying, we were just mad oblivious to what was, that we had, the resources that we had kind of thing. And I feel like it's especially, like, what influences it is like the social pressures around it. For example, there were times where like, people really needed to talk to people, but it just wasn't cool, fam, so you just wouldn't do it, fam. Do you know what I'm saying? Same way, like, what's it called? It was cool to be the class clown, do you know what I'm saying? But really and truly, you didn't want to be the class clown, but you were just that, so you kind of owned it, do you know what I'm saying? So I think, at the same time, we did have things like that to hand, but it's just like the social pressures and kind of like the social hierarchy in that time just didn't allow certain kids to break out of that kind of livestock kind of mentality, do you know what I'm saying?
As a conclusion, considering everything that we've discussed, both the good and the bad, do you guys think that the education system failed you?
Yes.
I think I would say no.
The people didn't fail me.
I've been the exact same.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm so 50-50 about it, because like the education system led me to where I am today. And I can't say I'm disappointed in myself, innit?
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, what if? But you can't kind of think what if in this life. It just is.
Education system taught me to be a pawn. You know what I'm saying? That's how it's failed me. Especially for things like secondary school.
I mean, I don't think it's failed me, but I can acknowledge how it's failed other people. I feel like the reason why it didn't fail me has a lot to do with myself. And just like, so I understand that the reason why it could have failed another person is to do with themselves. Not saying that they're the problem, but how they operate, like school's just not fit for them. Like, I'm a person, I can adapt well to different situations and just handle it. But obviously, like, it's not easy to do that as like a child, or like there's so many factors like we've been saying that could like affect that. So I feel like I acknowledge like I see it. I see the flaws in the education system, but I would be lying if I said that I was majorly affected by that. As I always say, like this conversation isn't going to change the world, like, but it can have like little difference, and that's what's important. I don't know if a teacher could be watching this. I don't know who, but if there's somebody who one day might become a teacher, if they even take into consideration what we said, hopefully it will make things different, or maybe one of you will become teachers. Who knows? But as always, guys, thank you for having this conversation with me.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.